Communities all across the country, including Detroit, are set to celebrate Juneteenth this Friday.
7 Action News reporter Kimberly Craig takes a look at the history of the holiday, which commemorates the end of slavery in the United States.
Juneteenth got its name by combining June and the 19th. It's also known as Jubilee Day and Freedom Day for African Americans who were enslaved.
The Emancipation Proclamation was passed a year and a half prior, and these people were still toiling in the fields and in the houses, unaware of their stature as freedmen and women. And it was time for them to be recognized as human beings.
And so on June 19, 1865, Union Major General Gordon Granger landed in Galveston, Texas, and announced that the Civil War was over and that the enslaved were finally free.
The clarion call of the Union forces that said to African Americans in Texas, hey, you know, the Emancipation Proclamation has been signed and you're actually free.
Author and historian Ken Coleman says Juneteenth is an Independence Day for African Americans, celebrating the end of slavery in the United States, even though the news came 2.5 years after President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation.
And there was a lot of resentment among Southerners about losing the war and about the freedom of African Americans no longer being slaves. I mean, that was a major economic engine for states like Texas, and I think that was the driving force and why it took so long for African Americans in Texas to understand that they were free.
And Juneteenth plays a pivotal role in who we are as people of African descent in the United States of America.
And while the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History remains closed due to COVID, tomorrow on blkfreedom.org, they'll be joining forces with 5 other leading black museums across the country in a digital commemoration of the 155th anniversary of Juneteenth. Jonathan Jones, the Education and Outreach Coordinator for the Wright, and so many others say it's time for Juneteenth to be recognized as a national holiday.
Since we are the country that is founded on those principles of freedom, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, giving that to all of its citizens and recognizing that makes Juneteenth, in my opinion, even more important than the July 4th.
And the reality is, even though we have had an African American president, the reality is that there are far too many young people, particularly African Americans in Detroit, African American children, who do not have the same opportunity to succeed in life as people who happen to be white.
And that's why, while Juneteenth is a celebration, there is still so much work to be done. In Detroit, Kimberly Craig, 7 Action News.
All right, Kimberly, thank you. And we do have a complete list of Juneteenth celebrations right now on our website. Just head over to WXYZ.com.